In this video, we are going to be covering what's going on in the crypto market, some major NFT news, as well as some interesting mints you've got to keep an eye out for. By the way, make sure to follow me on Twitter at Patrick Dang, where I'm going to be dropping the latest alpha, as well as join the Parallax Discord, where you can learn about our upcoming NFT. First thing we're going to talk about is going to be the market sentiment. As you know, things are kind of looking down. They're looking kind of quiet when it comes to crypto Twitter, and that's because a lot of the prices are dropping for a lot of NFTs. And when we're looking at the altcoins, you know, Ethereum right now is pretty much at like 2K, Bitcoin at 29. Is it going to go up or down from here? Hard to say, but it's possible that things might get worse just because the entire world is kind of in that debt cycle, and macroly everything's kind of pushing downward. And so right now, in my personal opinion, having cash is probably one of the most valuable things you can have, not financial advice. Personally, I think there might be a little pump in the next 1 to 3 months, but after that, there might be a recession. Like legitimately, it might be a recession. So you really want to be careful about that, where you're only buying things that you personally believe in, or you're going to be in and out trading. That's my personal take on that. Now, when we're going into the OpenSea, we have a lot of volume for these top 10 projects in terms of like volume in the last 24 hours. Most projects are losing a lot of volume. Like we're seeing like Azuki, for example, Moonbird's losing volume. Any like blue chip, quote unquote, is losing a lot of volume. So even PXN is at a 1.25 Ethereum floor, right? Where in the Dutch auction was technically at 2 ETH. So it's not looking too good for the markets, honestly. A lot of people, if they're still holding NFTs, are kind of down. Even if you're holding Ethereum, you're kind of down. Will things continue to go up? Possibly, but again, macro forces pushing the markets down, so that's something you definitely want to pay attention to. And personally, for me, having a lot of cash on hand is probably the most valuable thing for my personal preference during this market. But yeah, I think we're going to be in a situation where the strongest are going to survive if we do enter a bear. And just so you know, Bear Bull Parallax will be here, and if you want to join the community, make sure to join our Discord. Link is in the description. The first project I want to talk about minted over the weekend, and over this weekend, you know, I haven't been making a lot of videos just because I was traveling around in Singapore, and I'll probably make a video about that, sharing my experience. But for now, let's talk about Goblin Town. So Goblin Town right now, the time of this recording, is number 3 when it comes to OpenSea volume. You know, on Ethereum floor right now is 0.43. I think it was like 0.7 like yesterday. But let's talk about this. So Goblin Town right here, it's like Goblin Town WTF. It's like, why are people buying these little goblin things? Right? It's kind of interesting that something like this would pump, especially during a bearish market. Actually, it's pretty funny. I feel like they really hit the right timing, where it's like Goblin Town is kind of like a meme where like you're holding a lot of NFTs, you go in a bear market, and like you're just like wrecked, right? When you go into this website, it's just like a joke. It's a meme. It's kind of serious, but not taking itself too seriously. Is there like a super bright future in this project? I don't really know. To me, it feels more like a meme project where people are just buying it because it's funny. And how I actually heard of this was I was just on Twitter while I was in Singapore, and then everybody was joining like the Goblin Town AMA, right? Actually, it was because Tokoa, one of my friends that I met up with in Singapore, he's the one that invited me out. He was listening to the Goblin Town AMA. I was like, he's listening to that? I want to just check it out too. So I went on the AMA, and then all the people who were hosting it, they were sounding like goblins. So somebody would ask the question like, so, you know, what's the utility of da-da-da-da? And then they would be like literally just sounding like goblins, and everyone was doing that. It was just so funny that I think that's why a lot of people bought into it. During this time, it's like, I guess people want to gamble in a sense, right? It's almost like when you're doing like meme NFTs, I feel people are gambling into a project where you're not saying like, oh, Goblin Town's gonna be the next whatever. It's just funny. When that happens, you know, people buy into it. They don't really care if they lose money. Maybe they're gonna make some money, and it was a free mint anyways. That's kind of like how I see what it is. And when the volume starts dying off, like it's like negative, you know, 70% over the last 24 hours, most likely, you know, the volume's gonna probably die off, and then the project probably will die off, in my personal opinion. But it's definitely funny, right? So when you see these random projects popping up here and there, it doesn't mean that there's a bull market coming into play. It just kind of means that people are like having fun gambling, but like you'll see like many different small projects do this, and then, you know, a couple months later, my guess is, you know, they won't be as relevant, right? We've seen this happen over and over. So Goblin Town right now, personally, in my opinion, I think the floor price probably will continue to go down after the volume starts drying up. So I'm not saying you should buy into it. I'm just sharing with you, you know, why this thing is pumping up and, you know, what's going on. Okay, so the next project that we're going to talk about is going to be Chimpers. Now, this one was pretty hot over the weekend. Now, pretty much why I think this is popping off is because it's really by this guy, Chimpers HD, and he actually did the artwork for NounsDAO. And if you don't know NounsDAO, it's like a pretty like exclusive club where people are like literally spending like 60, 70, 100 ETH for a noun, and every day like a noun comes out, and the art is pretty iconic. We've seen a lot of derivatives of these nouns before, but so pretty much the artist, you know, he decided to create his own project, which is great. Last month on August 25th, this guy came out with Chimpers Genesis, right? And I guess this was you know, the initial funding or seed for the Chimpers universe, right? So all of them are going to be like very special. The art's pretty good, and the floor price right now 35 ETH for one of these. So I guess a lot of people really value these. So when they launched the other collection, which comes after the Genesis, you know, the floor right now is 2.49. They already have a high floor price on the Genesis, so a lot of people want to buy into it. And then this is kind of like what it looks like. So similar art style, obviously, but then there's more to it, right? There's going to be much more supply where the regular person can come in. If you're looking at this, you're like, okay, well, what exactly is a chimper? So I'm just researching through the Discord, and for my personal take, why this is popping off is one, because this is the artist for NounceDAO, and then if you're the artist for NounceDAO, probably a lot of people want to connect with you. So, you know, this guy is probably well connected in the NFT space. And when you're well connected, a lot of your friends want to buy into your project. And then when you see all these like big whales or influential people buying into a project, or they hold the Genesis, then more people want to buy into it. And so it just creates this cycle of like, oh, this guy bought it, I'm going to buy it too. And then, oh, that guy bought it, I'm going to buy it too. And so then you get this whole snowball of people wanting to buy Chimpers. Now, the art is actually pretty good in my opinion. He's got that 2D pixel art, but this guy has like very unique style, his own spin to it. So when I'm going through the announcements on Discord, it seems like this is going to be like a more metaverse play. It's going to be, you know, people using as their PFP profile. They're going to, you know, have these characters in like different worlds probably. And essentially from my perspective, it's a brand, right? So looking on their website, it's like, it's not trying to say like, oh, we're going to promise you this and that. It's like a brand for the metaverse that they can do anything with, right? Similar to how the Littles is a brand, CyberKongz is a brand, Kaiju Kingz is a brand, right? There's many things you can do with a brand. Like you can make merch, you can make a play to earn game, which I don't necessarily recommend. You know, you can partner with other collaborations, you can even collaborate with Web2 brands. So there's a lot of different routes they can go, but as long as there's a community of people that like this stuff, then, you know, they can kind of do anything, right? So going on the website, yo chimps, we're going on an adventure. What does this adventure mean? Not really sure, because it's not really clear, but then they're trying to create like a fun little lore that people can be a part of, right? So reading through it, the vision is we're going to go on an adventure. Okay. The roadmap, they're going to provide value through mystery, surprise reward, maybe airdrops. Okay. So they don't necessarily say what you're going to get, but they're just saying like, hey guys, we're going to promise to give you stuff along the way if you want to join this adventure, right? Founders over here. So there's a bunch of different people. So Timbers is the artist, and then they have other people probably doing the back end operations. They have done different like IP stuffs. Like for example, one of the examples that they put in is going to be like their Bored Ape derivative. And I don't use derivative as a bad thing, but it's just like inspiration, right? So, you know, they have like this Bored Ape like animated production, the quest for Diamond Fleece. I've actually seen this before. So the art is actually pretty good. Seems like they're going to be some quests, but honestly, dude, it's not really clear how this works. Like you would have to probably spend quite a bit of time to figure it out. I think they could do a better job when it comes to like explaining it to the average person, but you know, they're going to be rewards like Diamond Fleece, book, animated production. So maybe more NFTs, Chimpers Genesis, Diamond Dust. So I feel like it's a cool concept. Like it's a cool, like playful kind of website, but not very clear what you're getting, to be honest, right? People might say like, oh, like you have to like dig into the community, watch an AMA and things like that. I get it. But at the same time, if you're trying to onboard the average person, they're not going to get it, right? And that's the perspective I'm coming from. They're not really promise you anything. They're just saying, hey, we're going to go on an adventure. We're going to have fun. We're going to build a brand. But in reality, maybe they have something in the pipeline, but they're really figuring out as they go. And that's how most projects do it. But it seems fun. You know, I'm not saying you should buy it, but you know, up to you if you want to get into this. All right. So the next thing we're going to talk about is going to be VeeFriends. And as you know, VeeCon was over the weekend. It seems like a lot of people liked it. And an announcement that VeeFriends actually make is that they are going to be doing a collaboration with Beeple using the gift goat, right? So gift goat is essentially like an NFT, and then you're going to keep getting gifts as long as you hold this NFT. And then Beeple actually put Gary Vee with like this little goat over here, which is kind of funny, kind of weird, but it's a good example of like when you're a brand like VeeFriends, you can collaborate with different people, create different kind of assets, maybe collectibles, provide utility for people that bought those certain NFTs, right? And I think a lot of projects are going to do that moving forward in the future. So the next project I want to talk about is going to be a little different from regular NFTs, and it's going to be music NFTs. Now I know a lot of you guys have been asking like, what about music NFTs? What's going on there? So it hasn't been like that much momentum in music NFTs, but I actually did speak to one of the founders of SoundMint, and it was really interesting to see what they shared with me. And just so you know, they did offer me and my community whitelist opportunities. If you want to check that out, check the Parallax Discord. But I'm going to give you my honest opinion and take on this as always. So SoundMint essentially is kind of like, if I were to describe it, like an art blocks, but for music NFTs, where it's more like they're trying to help different artists create NFTs in a very NFT Web3 way and share it with their fans. What they'll actually do is like they'll get an artist and they'll create different stems, right? So there'll be like vocals, drums, melody, and like different elements of these things, and they'll mix it together with an algorithm, right? Similar to how like CryptoPunks can have different hats and clothes, skin color, all that stuff. Similar idea, but for different stems beat of music and it'll create different songs. And I did hear a couple of the songs with the artists, and it does sound pretty good. If you kind of look at it, it kind of looks like this, where it's going to be a person holding a hand. The art itself is going to be generative, so they're going to have different cassettes, different elements like fire, the hand's going to be different, and then songs going to be different. So every song is unique, every art is unique, and then the background kind of moves with the song as well, so that's also going to be unique as well. I mean, this is a pretty new company, honestly, and you know, they're trying things out, trying something different, but it's something definitely to watch. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't buy it, because really it's up to you if you like the artist. You could kind of look at it as an investment, but I would say like if you really enjoy an artist and you want to support them creatively, and like an NFT directly funds that artist, especially because SoundMint does give a larger percentage to the artists themselves and takes a smaller cut compared to like a record label, for example. I think of it like that. You don't know if like music NFT is going to go up or down. You don't know if the artist that makes an NFT is going to blow up or not. Not everybody can be the next Drake, right? But if you support an artist, it's just an alternative to, let's say, like buying their merchandise or going to their show. Let's say, you know, you live in another country. Well, you can say, I'm going to buy your NFT because I really like you as an artist. So that's how I personally see these kind of things. So if you want to check out SoundMint, because they do have an NFT drop, this one actually coming out real soon. Another project I want to talk about is going to be Kaiju Kingz. Now, Kaiju Kingz is doing something really interesting where they did these augmented lab scientists, right? This is actually pretty smart, because I'll explain why. When it comes to NFTs, the problem that most people have is that they cannot onboard new people into their ecosystem, right? What augmented labs did is that they made this mint free. So there are a lot of people I know in our Discord, even I did this. Go on their website, you can literally create your own NFT for free. You can do random generated, or you can actually just pick the trait that you want, which is actually pretty cool. And then like these are actually looking pretty good. And I think also because they're humans, kind of expanded the pie more, where for a Kaiju King, you kind of have to like Godzilla and the Kaiju King to want to buy one. But humans, you know, everybody can relate, boys and girls, different hairstyles, different everything, right? It's smart in that because they made it free, anybody can do it. If you're like, have a friend, you're like, hey man, if you want an NFT, just make a scientist, it's free. If you want to put ETH into it, I don't think they have this option anymore, but you could, you know, participate in their play to earn game, which is a whole separate story. But when it comes to just having a free NFT and you could pay for it to move as well, that's pretty smart. And I think they did, if you kind of do the math, they did make, I believe, you know, more than 7 figures on people, you know, kind of like donating money to be deeper into the ecosystem. But yeah, you know, we have 52,000 items, 39,000 owners, but I mean, some people have multiple addresses, right? But if let's just call it like 10 to 30,000 people have this scientist, right? So it just kind of like broadens the market, gets more people in their ecosystem, and then maybe one day, if they like what they see, they are going to buy a Kaiju King, right? So I think in the future, what's going to happen is all these projects that have low supply, like let's say like a Gojira, for example, or Few, or pretty much anything, right? I feel like they're going to create different collections that are going to be more affordable or even for free. It's going to allow more people to get into their ecosystem, and then if they want to buy the next thing, they can. But if they don't, it's cool, because the price was so cheap that it's not even like an investment, but it's almost like just a fun thing to have. And that is what I believe will get more people onboarded into the ecosystem. So because of this success of this drop, and also they made a lot of money because people did pay Ethereum to make it move and like all these special things, I believe more people are going to do that as well. Now, when it comes to the Kaiju Kingz play to earn game, that's totally different, because play to earn is very difficult to do, and it's hard to say if that's going to be successful or not just for Kaiju, but for any project doing it, any NFT project. At least they got a way to onboard new people, and I can respect that. And there's one more thing I want to talk about when it comes to like NFTs driving revenue for creators. I found this graph over here where it said the estimated creator revenues in 2021, right? So NFTs, 3.9 billion, Spotify, 7 billion, YouTube, 15 billion, Facebook, 30 billion, right? They're mostly going by ad revenue, right? So it's not going to include like what people are making when they create their own business and they drive traffic to that. That's different. So I mean, honestly, like these numbers actually should be higher, but if we're just looking at ad revenue itself, it's like NFTs are catching up to all these other things. Like we're so early in NFTs, there's really only like a few 100,000 people that actually buy and sell NFTs like regularly. We're not even at 1 million yet, right? And then all this money is like flowing through the system. Now, although a lot of the money actually ends up in the VC hands, because you know this game is kind of like that. But yeah, but like for a regular artist or a regular creator, they can actually sell an NFT to support whatever it is they're doing, just like how SoundMint is doing music NFTs, right? And especially if, because a large percentage of that goes to the artist, well, instead of having to like rely on Spotify revenue, which is, I hear, not very consistent, especially if you don't get that many plays, you can sell an NFT. And really, if you have like 1,000 true fans that really mess with what you have going on, then you can make a very good living as a niche artist, right? And so I think NFTs are going to be the future. Yes, it's a dark time. Yes, everything's down. It may seem unfair and the world is crashing, right? But if you look at things from a 10-year horizon, personally for me, I think NFTs are the future, and that's why the Parallax is here to tell the stories. With that said, that's everything that we got to cover for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.